Let's now talk about the 8 potential test questions on a spread, Eric. Again, can you identify the spread? Even if it wasn't a test question, I just told you it is. But if you can't identify, you don't know what to do. So a good memory aid device for identifying the spread is SOTA. Same option, different action. Call, put. It's when we're long and short a call or long and short a put. Test question number 1, can you identify a spread? Test question number 2 is, can you determine whether it's a debit or credit spread? Debit means you're paying more money out than bringing money in. You're buying the spread. Or is it a credit spread? More money in than money out. Are you selling the spread? If you get that right, then, Eric, you can rock and roll, because if you get debit exercise widen, do, like when you're Dean, like I'm White, I need to exercise, right? So exercise would be profitable and a debit spread. If the difference in the premiums gets larger, widens, that's profitable. Credit expire, narrow. Again, you can rock and roll if you get that right. Because credit expire, you want, again, the contracts to expire. So you get to go neener, keep the money. And you want the difference in the premiums to narrow. So 8 questions. Identify debit or credit, exercise or expire, widen or narrow. Max gain, max loss. Number 5. The gain and the loss in a spread always equals the difference in the strikes. All the action takes place between the strikes, right? So if I sell a 40 call and buy a 50 call, there's 10 points to be made or lost, right? It's pretty easy to get the loss in a debit spread. It's what you spent. Whenever you buy an option position, that's your worst case. Pretty easy to gain in a credit spread. It's what you've collected. So we got to do max gain, max loss. Now, if you don't get that, then, Eric, you got to memorize the maximum loss in a debit and a spread is the difference in the premiums less than that debit. I just think that's a mental mess. Or you got to memorize the maximum loss in a credit spread is the difference in the strikes less than that credit. The break-even test-taking trick is somewhere between the strikes. In my example, 40-50, it's somewhere in there. And we have 2 memory aid devices, test question number 7, about how to get the break-even. We got CAL, that stands for call, add to the lower. We're going to add this net premium, doesn't matter if it's a debit or credit, to the lower strike, and we get our break-even. If it's a put spread, push, put, subtract from the higher. We're going to subtract that net premium, doesn't matter debit or credit, and get our break-even. The last thing we got to be able to do on a spread, I told you 8 potential test questions, is determine bullish or bearish. Do we want the market price of the stock to go up or down? The way we do that is the larger premium dominates the position. And so if I'm looking, I buy the 40 call and I sell the 50, the 40 call is going to have a greater premium. It's a bullish debit spread. That comes with practice, drilling, and rehearsing. But we also have a cocktail party trick called bulls, because you're long the lower strike in any spread, because you are long the lower strike, bulls, you're bullish. Amaze friends of the cocktail party. Bull, bear, bull, bull, bear, bull, bull. They're not going to know you're using that trick. They're going to think you're reverse engineering. Oh my God, the lower strike call has that. One other mantra, Eric, I would point out to you. You can join me tomorrow when I have a whiteboard, and I'm more than happy to go over this with you. But one other thing I would point out to you in terms of these spreads is that you need to know when they're missing premiums, lower, higher, longer. Lower, higher, longer. Lower strike call contracts, Eric, always have greater premiums. A choice to buy at a lower price is always more desirable. So that'll always be the dominant leg. Lower, higher, longer. Higher strike puts always have the greater premiums. The choice to sell at a higher price is more desirable. They'll have a greater premium. Lower, higher, longer. Longer term option contracts always have greater premiums. So if you're missing the premiums, well, then you have to do it. I'm not going to talk about strangles, because Brian would get mad at me, because he gets mad when I talk about things we know you aren't going to see on your test. But I'm more than happy to do without you tomorrow. I'm teasing, by the way. I should tell you, Brian and I are good friends, and I should probably tell people when I'm teasing, because some people don't know when I'm teasing. Brian, anything you want to add to that?
I know. Yes. Dean, you and I add a lot of value. Well, at least we hope we do anyway, right? And something like this with straddles and spreads, this is why, thank goodness now for technology. seeing it drawn out and solving individual problems is the best way to learn this.
Practice, drill, and rehearse.
That's
If
right.
you do my 8 thing,
1,000 of them. I've got them on my Series 7 video course.
yeah, put this in the channel search bar, Eric, and you'll see a lot of examples where I walk people through this and do actual practice questions with you.
You really have to see it.
Yeah, but if you practice, drill, and rehearse it, at some point, as a matter of routine, you'll be able to knock those 8 things out pretty quickly.
Exactly.
At some point, options, I kind of what happens with options, lights go on and they go out again. They go on again, they go out again. So you just got to work on getting it lit. But at some point, if you get it, then you're going to want 125 option questions because there's really no way to fool you on an option once you understand them. By the way, and I would tell you, I'm a little different in that regard. Brian is too. We don't believe, well, I won't speak for Brian. I don't believe in shortcuts where you get the right answer, but you don't understand it. Because then you fall prey to different phraseology or different things. And so the way Brian and I do are tried and true. And the 2 big things that Brian and I both believe in solving option questions is you don't fumble around with contract specifications. For another what I mean by that is that a short put is an obligation to buy the stock. And you don't fumble around with tracking money. If you can track money, I use a T. Brian, I think, does the same thing, tracking the money. If you can track money in and out and you know the contract specifications, you get all the option questions correct.